unexpected visitor. The Australian outback stretched endlessly in every direction, a sea of red earth and scrubland beneath a merciless sun. Alexis Chen wiped the sweat from her brow, leaving a streak of grease across her forehead. She'd been bent over the engine of Old Betsy, her beat-up tow truck, for the better part of an hour. The ancient vehicle had broken down yet again, leaving her stranded on a lonely stretch of road between nowhere and not much else. "Come on, you stubborn old girl," Alexis muttered, tightening a bolt with practiced ease. At 28, she was the best mechanic this side of Alice Springs, not that it counted for much out here. Her skills were more often applied to patching up farm equipment and coaxing a few more miles out of vehicles that should have been scrapped years ago. A gust of hot wind buffeted her, kicking up a cloud of dust. Alexis squinted against it, her eyes drawn to the shimmering horizon. For a moment, she thought she saw something, a glint of metal, perhaps, or a trick of the light. She shook her head, dismissing it as a mirage. Out here, the heat can make you see all sorts of things. Turning back to her work, Alexis gave the engine one last check. "All right, let's see if that does it." She climbed into the cab, turned the key, and was rewarded with the satisfying rumble of the engine coming to life. "That's my girl," she grinned, patting the dashboard affectionately. As she prepared to continue her journey back to town, a low rumble filled the air. At first, Alexis mistook it for thunder, but the cloudless sky told a different story. The sound grew louder, accompanied by a high-pitched whine that set her teeth on edge. Suddenly, the air in front of her seemed to ripple and distort. Alexis watched in disbelief as a massive shape materialized out of thin air, hovering just a few meters above the ground. It was like nothing she'd ever seen before, a sleek, silvery craft about the size of a small airplane, but with no visible wings or engines. Strange, pulsing lights ran along its hull, and an eerie hum emanated from within. What in the bloody hell? Alexis breathed, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. The craft wobbled in the air, its lights flickering erratically. With a groan of protesting metal, it slowly descended, touching down on the parched earth with a thud that Alexis felt through the soles of her boots. As the dust settled, she could see scorch marks and dents marring its once pristine surface. For a long moment, Alexis sat frozen in her truck, her mind racing. This had to be some kind of hallucination, right? Maybe she'd hit her head while working on the engine. But the craft remained stubbornly real, shimmering in the heat haze. Taking a deep breath, Alexis steeled herself and climbed out of the truck. She approached the alien vessel cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. As she drew closer, she could feel the heat radiating from its hull, see the strange, almost organic patterns etched into its surface. "Hello," she called out, feeling slightly foolish. "Is anything in there?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a hiss of escaping air, a seam appeared in the smooth metal. A ramp extended to the ground, and a figure emerged from the shadows within. Alexis gasped. The being before her was undeniably alien, yet hauntingly beautiful. Tall and slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight, the creature regarded her with large, luminous eyes. Its features were delicate, almost elfin, framed by what looked like living tendrils of light that flowed like hair. The alien took a step forward, then stumbled. Without thinking, Alexis rushed to catch it, surprised by how light it felt in her arms. Up close, she could see that the creature was injured, with a dark, oily substance seeping from a gash in its side. "Easy there," Alexis said softly, helping the alien regain its balance. "You're hurt. Let me help you." The creature's eyes locked onto hers, and Alexis felt a jolt of something. Recognition? Understanding. Before she could process it, a voice echoed in her mind, rich and melodious, yet tinged with pain and urgency. "Human," the voice said, "I require assistance. My ship, damaged. Pursued. Must repair. Hide." Alexis blinked, struggling to comprehend what was happening. You're talking to me, in my head. The alien nodded, the movement graceful despite its obvious discomfort. Telepathic, interface, universal, translator. Right, Alexis said, deciding to roll with it. After all, what was a little telepathy when you had a wounded alien and a damaged spaceship on your hands? Okay, let's get you patched up first, then we'll see about your ship. She led the alien to her truck, helping it climb into the passenger seat. As she rummaged through her first aid kit, her mind raced with questions. Who was this being? Where had it come from? And who or what was pursuing it? As she cleaned and bandaged the alien's wound, which thankfully seemed to respond well to ordinary antiseptic, Alexis tried to piece together what she knew. So, you're on the run from someone, and your ship is damaged. The alien nodded, its luminous eyes never leaving Alexis's face. Escaped civil war. Faction seeks control. Must prevent catastrophe. Alexis whistled low. Sounds serious. But why come to Earth? We're not exactly known for our advanced technology. A flicker of what might have been amusement crossed the alien's features. Earth, unexpected. Randomized jump. Avoid detection. Your world, overlooked. Safe for now. As Alexis finished tending to the wound, she sat back, taking in the full magnitude of the situation. Here she was, a bush mechanic from the middle of nowhere, suddenly thrust into what sounded like an intergalactic conflict. It was absurd, terrifying, and oddly exhilarating. Well, she said, a slow grin spreading across her face, I may not know much about alien technology, but I'm the best damn mechanic in these parts. If your ship needs fixing, I'm your girl. The alien tilted its head, a gesture eerily reminiscent of a curious bird. You would assist without knowing me. Alexis shrugged. You're hurt, your ship's busted, and you're running from some nasty characters. Where I come from, that's reason enough to lend a hand. She extended her hand, then wondered if the gesture would even be understood. I'm Alexis, by the way, Alexis Chen. To her surprise, the alien reached out and grasped her hand, its touch cool and slightly tingly. I am Nixara, gratitude, Alexis Chen. As they shook hands, Alexis felt a wave of warmth and trust wash over her. Whether it was some alien ability or just her own instincts, she knew in that moment that she was doing the right thing. Right then, Nixara, she said, climbing out of the truck. Let's take a look at your ship, shall we? As they approached the damaged craft, Alexis's mind was already racing with possibilities. The technology was light years beyond anything she'd ever worked on, but the basics had to be the same, right? Energy, propulsion, control systems, it all had to fit together somehow. Nixara led her to a panel on the ship's side, which slid open at a touch. Inside, Alexis saw a bewildering array of crystals, pulsing conduits, and what looked like living circuitry. It was beautiful, alien, and completely incomprehensible. Okay, Alexis said, taking a deep breath. This might take a while. Over the next few hours, Alexis worked tirelessly on the ship, with Nixara providing guidance through their telepathic link. It was like learning a new language, each component and system slowly revealing its secrets. Alexis found herself marveling at the elegance of the design, the way each part seemed to flow seamlessly into the next. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, Alexis stepped back, wiping her hands on a rag. I think that should do it, she said, a note of pride in her voice. The main propulsion system is back online, and I've patched up the worst of the damage to the hull. It won't be pretty, but it'll fly. Nixara's eyes seemed to glow with gratitude. You have saved me, Alexis Chen, my people, in your debt. Alexis felt a blush creeping up her cheeks. Ah, it was nothing. Just doing what anyone would do. The alien shook its head, the tendrils of light swirling with emotion. No, what you have done, extraordinary. Few would aid, an unknown being. Fewer still, possess the skills. As they stood there in the fading light, an idea began to form in Alexis's mind. It was crazy, impulsive, and probably more than a little dangerous. But then again, she'd already repaired an alien spaceship today. Why stop there? "Listen, Nixara," she said, her heart racing. "I don't know much about your war or what's going on out there in the galaxy, but it sounds like you could use all the help you can get. And, well, I've always wanted to see the stars up close." Nixara's eyes widened, understanding dawning. "You wish to accompany me?" Alexis nodded, surprised by her own boldness. "If you'll have me. I mean, you've seen what I can do with your ship. And who knows? Maybe a human perspective could be useful in your conflict." For a long moment, Nixara was silent, its gaze seeming to pierce right through Alexis. Then, slowly, it nodded. "Your offer, accepted. But the journey, dangerous. Sure." Alexis looked around at the vast, empty landscape she called home for so long. She thought of the life she'd been living, fixing up old jalopies and dreaming of something more. Then she looked back at Nixara and the incredible ship behind it, a gateway to adventures beyond imagining. "Yeah," she said, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "I'm sure." As the first stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Alexis Chen and Nixara boarded the alien craft. With a hum of power and a shimmer of light, the ship rose into the air, hovering for a moment above the red earth of the outback. Alexis took one last look at the world she was leaving behind. Then, with a whoop of exhilaration, she called out, "All right, Nixara, let's see what this baby can do." The ship surged forward, quickly becoming nothing more than a streak of light in the night sky. And just like that, an ordinary day in the Australian outback had turned into the beginning of an extraordinary adventure, one that would take a skilled human mechanic to the farthest reaches of the galaxy and beyond. Repairs and revelations. The vastness of space stretched out before Alexis Chen, a tapestry of stars and swerving nebulae that took her breath away. She stood at the viewport of Nixara's ship, her hands pressed against the transparent material that separated her from the vacuum beyond. It had been 3 days since they'd left Earth behind, and Alexis still couldn't quite believe it was real. "Beautiful, is it not?" Nixara's melodious voice echoed in Alexis' mind. The alien stood beside her, its iridescent skin reflecting the starlight. Alexis nodded, awestruck. "It's incredible. I never imagined I'd see anything like this." As they gazed out at the cosmos, Alexis felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The initial thrill of their escape from Earth had given way to the realization of just how far from home she truly was. And there was still so much she didn't know about her alien companion and the conflict they were flying into. "Nixara," Alexis said, turning to face the alien, "I think it's time you filled me in on what's really going on. Who's after you? What's this war about?" Nixara's luminous eyes seemed to dim slightly, and Alexis felt a wave of sadness and regret through their telepathic link. "You are right. You deserve to know." The alien gestured towards the ship's central chamber. "Come, I will show you." As they entered the room, the walls shimmered and came to life with holographic displays. Alexis gasped as she found herself surrounded by images of alien worlds, strange creatures, and vast fleets of starships. "My people, the Astrine," Nixara began, its mental voice taking on a formal tone. "For millennia, we have been guardians of the stellar Concordat, an alliance of 1,000 worlds." The holograms shifted, showing a grand council chamber filled with diverse alien species. Alexis watched in amazement as diplomatic exchanges and cultural celebrations played out before her eyes. "Peace, prosperity," Nixara continued. "But there are those who desire more. The Void Imperium seeks to conquer, to rule with an iron fist." The images changed again, this time showing massive battleships and scenes of devastation. Alexis felt a chill run down her spine as she witnessed entire planets being laid to waste. "For centuries, we held them back. But now," Nixara's mental voice faltered, and Alexis felt a surge of anguish, betrayal, from within our own ranks. The holograms flickered, revealing a group of Astrines, their features twisted with malice. They stood alongside the monstrous forms of the Void Imperium's leaders. My own sister, Zixara. Nixara's voice was heavy with sorrow. She leads the traitors, seeks to overthrow our government, to ally with the Imperium. Alexis's mind reeled as she tried to process the scale of the conflict. But why come to Earth? We're not exactly a major player in galactic politics. Nixara's gaze met hers, and Alexis felt a glimmer of hope through their link. Earth, overlooked, but humans have potential. Your adaptability, your ingenuity, could be the key. The alien reached out, gently touching Alexis' hand. You, Alexis Chen, have already proven this. Repairing my ship with primitive tools. Imagine what your people could do with our technology. Alexis felt a swell of pride, both for herself and for humanity, but doubt quickly followed. That's a lot of pressure to put on one species, let alone one person. Are you sure we're up for this? Nixara's tendrils of light swirled with conviction. I have seen many worlds. Few possess the spark I see in you, in humanity. As they talked, Alexis found herself drawn deeper into Nixara's world. The alien shared stories of its people's history, of grand adventures among the stars, and of the weight of responsibility that came with guarding the peace of 1,000 worlds. Hours passed, and Alexis's head spun with new knowledge. She learned of the Astrines' advanced biotechnology, their mastery of faster-than-light travel, and their deep connection to the cosmic energies that permeated the universe. This is all incredible, Alexis said, running a hand through her hair. But I still don't understand. What exactly do you need me for? I'm just a mechanic from the outback. Nixara's eyes seemed to sparkle with an emotion Alexis couldn't quite place. You are so much more. Your skills, your courage, they are what we need. The alien led Alexis to another part of the ship, a chamber she hadn't seen before. Inside was a device unlike anything she'd ever encountered. It looked like a cross between a meditation pod and a high-tech computer, pulsing with ethereal energy. This is the heart of stars, Nixara explained. The source of our ship's power, and the key to defeating the Void Imperium. Alexis approached the device cautiously, feeling a strange resonance as she drew near. What does it do? It channels the energy of creation, Nixara said, its mental voice filled with reverence. Allows us to reshape reality, but it is damaged, sabotaged by the traitors. Realization dawned on Alexis, and you need me to fix it. Nixara nodded. Only one, untouched by our technology, can repair it safely. Your human ingenuity, your fresh perspective, it may be our only hope. Alexis stared at the heart of stars, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. This was far beyond anything she'd ever attempted. The fate of entire civilizations could rest on her ability to understand and repair this alien technology. But as she studied the device, she began to see patterns. The flow of energy, the interconnected systems, it wasn't so different from the engines and machines she'd worked on back on Earth, just on a far grander scale. Taking a deep breath, Alexis rolled up her sleeves. All right, she said, a determined glint in her eye. Let's see what we're dealing with. Over the next several hours, Alexis immersed herself in the intricacies at the heart of stars. Nixara provided guidance and context, but much of the work relied on Alexis' intuition and problem-solving skills. She found herself drawing on everything she'd ever learned, from basic physics to the jury-reading techniques she'd developed in the outback. As she worked, Alexis felt a growing connection to the ship and to Nixara. The alien's presence was a constant comfort, offering encouragement and support. There were moments of frustration and near despair, but each small victory spurred her on. Finally, after what felt like days of non-stop effort, Alexis stepped back from the heart of stars. The device hummed with renewed energy, its light pulsing in harmony with the ship around them. I think I've done it," Alexis said, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. Nyxara's eyes widened, and Alexis felt a surge of joy and amazement through their link. "Extraordinary," the alien breathed. "You have succeeded, where our greatest minds failed." The ship seemed to come alive around them, systems that had been dormant flickering back to full power. Alexis felt a rush of exhilaration as she realized the magnitude of what she'd accomplished. "So what now?" she asked, wiping sweat from her brow. "We take the fight to this void Imperium." Nyxara's expression grew serious. "Not yet. First, we must gather allies, rebuild our strength." The alien's gaze met Alexis's, filled with determination and something else, a warmth that made Alexis's heart skip a beat. Together. As if on cue, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. Nyxara rushed to a control panel, its movements suddenly urgent. "What is it?" Alexis asked, tension coiling in her stomach. "A distress signal," Nyxara replied, its mental voice tight with concern. "From a Concordat outpost, under attack by Imperium forces." Alexis felt a moment of fear, but it was quickly overshadowed by a surge of determination. This was what she'd signed up for after all, a chance to make a difference on a cosmic scale. "Well then," she said, squaring her shoulders, "looks like it's time to put this ship to the test. What are we waiting for?" Nyxara looked at her with a mixture of admiration and concern. "The battle will be dangerous. Are you certain you wish to engage?" Alexis grinned, feeling more alive than she ever had back on Earth. "Nyxara, my friend, I didn't come all this way to sit on the sidelines. Let's show these Imperium goons what a human and an Astrine can do together." As the ship surged forward, preparing to jump to the aid of the besieged outpost, Alexis felt a thrill of excitement and purpose. She might be just a mechanic from the outback, but here, among the stars, she had found her true calling. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them, with Nyxara by her side and the vastness of the cosmos as her new workshop. A dangerous proposition. The aftermath of battle hung heavy in the air as Alexis surveyed the damage to the Concordat outpost. Debris floated in the void, remnants of void Imperium ships that had been repelled by their timely arrival. The station itself, a sprawling structure of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields, bore scars from the attack, but it had held. Alexis wiped grease from her hands, having just finished repairing a critical life support system. Around her, beings of various species worked to restore the outpost, their diverse forms a testament to the reach of the stellar Concordat. "Your assistance was invaluable," Nyxara's voice echoed in her mind. The Astrine approached, flanked by a group of alien dignitaries. Their eyes, appendages, and in some cases, sensory organs Alexis couldn't even name, all focused on her with a mixture of curiosity and gratitude. "Just doing what I can," Alexis replied, suddenly self-conscious under their scrutiny. "Is everyone all right?" One of the aliens, a tall, willowy being with bark-like skin, stepped forward. Its voice resonated not in Alex's mind, but in the air around them, translated by some unseen technology. "Thanks to you and Nyxara, casualties were minimal. You have our deepest gratitude, human." Alexis nodded, still somewhat overwhelmed by the reality of conversing with extraterrestrial life. "Happy to help. Though I have to say, this isn't quite how I imagined first contact going." A ripple of what might have been laughter passed through the group. The bark-skinned alien's features shifted in what Alexis guessed was a smile. "Indeed, your species has surprised us all. We had thought Earth too primitive to be of interest in this conflict. It seems we were mistaken." As the dignitaries dispersed to oversee the ongoing repairs, Nyxara drew Alexis aside. The Astrine's luminous eyes held a mix of emotions, pride, concern, and something deeper that Alexis couldn't quite place. "You fought bravely," Nyxara said softly. "Your quick thinking saved many lives." Alexis felt a warmth spread through her at the praise. Over the past weeks, as they traveled from system to system, gathering allies and evading Imperium forces, she'd grown closer to Nyxara. The alien's presence had become a comfort, a constant in the chaotic new world she found herself in. "Well, I had a good teacher," Alexis replied with a grin. "Though I have to admit, I never thought my skills at patching up old jalapenos would translate to repairing alien tech in the middle of a space battle." Nyxara's tendrils of light swirled with amusement. "Your adaptability is remarkable. It is one of the things I admire most about you." There was a weight to Nyxara's words that made Alexis pause. She sensed that the alien had more on its mind than mere praise for her abilities. "Nyxara," she said carefully, "what's going on? I feel like there's something you're not telling me." The Astrine seemed to hesitate, its normally melodious mental voice tinged with uncertainty. "Alexis, there is a matter of great importance we must discuss." Alexis felt a flutter of anticipation and nerves in her stomach. "All right, I'm listening." Nyxara led her to a quiet corner of the station, away from the bustle of repair work. They stood before a large viewport, the vast expanse of space stretching out before them. "The Concordat is in greater danger than I first believed," Nyxara began. "The betrayal runs deeper than we knew. Many of our allies fear to stand against the Imperium." Alexis nodded, having seen firsthand the terror the Void Imperium inspired in the systems they'd visited. "So what do we do?" Nyxara's gaze met hers, intense and filled with an emotion Alexis couldn't quite name. "There is a solution, but it requires great sacrifice." "Whatever it is, I'm in," Alexis said without hesitation. "We've come too far to back down now." A wave of affection and admiration flowed through their telepathic link. "Your courage never ceases to amaze me," Nyxara said softly. Then, taking what seemed to be a deep breath, the alien continued. "The Astrine people have a tradition. In times of great crisis, we may form a cosmic bond." Alexis tilted her head, intrigued. "What kind of bond?" "A union of minds and souls," Nyxara explained. "It allows the sharing of power, of knowledge. It can unite worlds." As the implications of Nyxara's words sank in, Alexis felt her heart begin to race. Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Nyxara nodded, its luminous eyes never leaving Alexis' face. "Alexis Chen, I am proposing a union between us, a cosmic marriage that would bind humanity to the stellar Concordat." Alexis's mind reeled. Of all the strange and wondrous things she'd encountered since leaving Earth, this was perhaps the most unexpected. "But why me? I'm just one human. I don't represent Earth or humanity." "You have proven yourself a true hero," Nyxara said, its mental voice filled with warmth. "Your actions have inspired hope throughout the Concordat. And here, the alien seemed almost shy. I have come to care for you deeply." Alexis felt a blush creep up her cheeks. She couldn't deny that she'd developed feelings for Nyxara as well, but she'd never imagined it could lead to this. "This union," Nyxara continued, "would grant humanity a seat on the Concordat Council, access to our technology, protection from the Imperium." The enormity of the offer began to sink in. This wasn't just a proposal of marriage, it was an invitation for humanity to join the galactic community, to leap forward centuries or even millennia in technological and cultural development. "But what about Earth?" Alexis asked, her mind racing. "They don't even know about any of this. How can I make this decision for an entire planet?" Nyxara's tendrils swirled thoughtfully. "We would reveal ourselves, offer Earth the choice, but you would be the bridge, the one who brings our worlds together." Alexis turned to look out at the stars, her thoughts in turmoil. On one hand, the opportunity was incredible, a chance to elevate humanity, to protect Earth from threats it didn't even know existed. And her feelings for Nyxara, They were real, growing stronger each day. But on the other hand, the responsibility was overwhelming. How could she, Alexis Chen, former outback mechanic, be the one to make first contact, to potentially change the course of human history? I don't know what to say, Alexis finally managed. It's huge, Nixara. I need time to think. Nixara nodded, understanding flowing through their link. Of course, this decision cannot be made lightly. But know this, the alien reached out, gently taking Alexis' hand. Whatever you choose, my feelings for you will not change. As they stood there, hand in hand, gazing out at the cosmos, Alexis felt as though she stood on the precipice of something monumental. Her decision would not only shape her own future, but potentially that of her entire species. The repaired outpost hummed with renewed life around them, a testament to what could be accomplished when different worlds came together. And as Alexis looked into Nixara's eyes, she saw not just the alien she'd come to care for, but a vision of a future filled with endless possibilities. I'll think about it, she said softly, giving Nixara's hand a gentle squeeze. But whatever happens, whatever I decide, thank you for everything. As they turned back to the task of rebuilding, Alexis's mind whirled with the magnitude of the choice before her. Little did she know that events were already in motion that would force her hand, pushing humanity into the galactic spotlight, whether they were ready or not. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if aware of the momentous decision hanging in the balance. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the forces of the Void Imperium gathered, preparing to strike at the heart of the Concordat, and at the fragile hope that Alexis and Nixara represented. Earth's dilemma. The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with tension and disbelief. World leaders, diplomats, and military officials from every corner of the globe sat in stunned silence as they watched the holographic display hovering above the podium. The image showed a vast alien fleet in orbit around Earth, their sleek ships a stark contrast to the primitive satellites and space stations that had, until now, been humanity's only presence in near-Earth orbit. At the center of it all stood Alexis Chen, feeling supremely out of place in her grease-stained work clothes. Beside her, Nixara's ethereal form seemed to glow under the harsh lights of the assembly hall. "Ladies and gentlemen of Earth," Alexis began, her voice shaky but growing stronger with each word. "I know this is a lot to take in. Believe me, I've been where you are. But everything I'm about to tell you is real, and the choice we make today will determine the future of our entire species." Over the next hour, Alexis and Nixara laid out the situation, the stellar Concordat, the threat of the Void Imperium, and the proposal that could catapult humanity onto the galactic stage. As they spoke, Alexis could see the mix of emotions playing across the faces of Earth's leaders: fear, wonder, skepticism, and hope. When they finished, the hall erupted into chaos. Questions flew from all directions, ranging from the scientific to the political to the philosophical. "How can we trust these aliens?" demanded the US president, his face flushed with a mix of anger and fear. "For all we know, this could be an invasion force." The Chinese premier stood, her eyes narrow with suspicion. "And why should we believe that you, Miss Chen, have the authority to negotiate on behalf of Earth? You're not a diplomat or a leader." Alexis took a deep breath, steeling herself. This was the moment of truth. "I'm not asking you to trust me," she said, her voice carrying across the hall. "I'm asking you to trust in humanity's potential. I've seen what's out there, the wonders and the dangers. We can bury our heads in the sand and hope the galaxy leaves us alone, or we can take our place among the stars." Nixara stepped forward, its melodic voice resonating through the minds of all present. "We offer you knowledge, protection, and partnership, but we cannot force your hand. The choice must be yours." As the debate raged on, Alexis found herself at the center of a global storm. News of the alien presence spread like wildfire, and the world's population was divided. Some saw the opportunity for advancement and peace, while others feared subjugation or the loss of human identity. In the days that followed, Alexis was thrust into the role of humanity's unofficial ambassador. She shuttled between meetings with world leaders, scientific panels, and public forums, trying to bridge the gap between Earth and the stars. One evening, exhausted from another day of negotiations, Alexis stood on the balcony of her UN-provided apartment, looking out over the New York skyline. Nixara joined her, a comforting presence in the chaos. "How are you faring?" the alien asked, concern evident in its mental voice. Alexis sighed, running a hand through her hair. "It's overwhelming. A month ago, I was fixing tractors in the outback. Now the fate of humanity is resting on my shoulders. I'm not sure I'm cut out for this, Nixara." The Austrian's tendrils swirled with empathy. "You underestimate yourself, Alexis. Your courage, your compassion, they are exactly what is needed." As they stood in comfortable silence, Alexis's mind wandered to the proposal that had started all this. The idea of a cosmic marriage still made her head spin, but she couldn't deny the growing feelings she had for Nixara. The alien had become more than just an ally. It was a confidant, a partner, perhaps even. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sharp ring of her phone. It was the Secretary General of the UN. "Miss Chen, we need you at the Assembly immediately. There's been a development." When Alexis and Nixara arrived at the UN, they found the Assembly Hall in an uproar. On the main screen was a live feed from a remote observatory. It showed a massive fleet of ships, far larger than the Concordat forces in orbit, approaching the edge of the solar system. "The Void Imperium," Nixara whispered, its mental voice tight with fear. "They found us." The Secretary General turned to Alexis, his face grave. "Ms. Chen, it appears our time for debate has run out. These ships, are they hostile?" Alexis nodded grimly. "If that's the Void Imperium, then yes. They're more than hostile. They're here to conquer or destroy." A hush fell over the Assembly as the weight of the situation sank in. Humanity was facing its first extraterrestrial threat, and they were woefully unprepared. The US president stood, his earlier skepticism replaced by grim determination. "What are our options?" Nixara stepped forward. "The Concordat fleet can offer some protection, but we are outnumbered. Without Earth's full cooperation and resources, I fear we may not be able to repel this attack." All eyes turned to Alexis. In that moment, she felt the full weight of her position, the trust that both humanity and the Concordat had placed in her. She took a deep breath, knowing that her next words could shape the future of her entire species. "People of Earth," she began, her voice steady and clear. "I know you're scared. I am too. But right now, fear is a luxury we can't afford. The threat we face is real, and it's bigger than any one nation or ideology. This is the moment that will define our place in the universe." She paused, looking around the room, meeting the eyes of leaders from every corner of the globe. "I'm not asking you to blindly trust the Concordat. I'm asking you to trust in humanity's strength, our ingenuity, our ability to come together in the face of adversity. If we stand united, if we pool our resources and join forces with the Concordat, we have a chance not just to survive, but to thrive among the stars." The room was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, heads began to nod. Murmurs of agreement spread through the Assembly. The Secretary General stepped up to the podium. "We will put it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the Concordat's offer of alliance and facing this threat together." One by one, hands raised. It wasn't unanimous, but it was an overwhelming majority. Alexis felt a wave of relief wash over her, quickly followed by a surge of determination. As the Assembly burst into action, leaders coordinating their militaries and resources, Alexis turned to Nixara. The alien's eyes shimmered with a mix of pride and concern. "You've done it, Alexis," Nixara said softly. "You've united your people in the face of impossible odds." Alexis managed a small smile. "We've still got a long way to go, but at least now we're in it together." She paused, her heart racing as she made a decision. "And Nixara, about your proposal, I think I'm ready to give you an answer." But before she could say more, alarms blared throughout the building. On the main screen, the Void Imperium fleet had accelerated, entering the solar system far faster than anyone had anticipated. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and with it, the true test of humanity's place among the stars. Gia, continue. Certainly. I'll continue with part 5 of the story, Trial by Fire. Here's the 5th part, maintaining the style and tone of the previous sections. Part 5, Trial by Fire. The sky above New York City erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy as the first salvos of the battle for Earth lit up the atmosphere. Concordat ships, their hulls gleaming with otherworldly technology, clashed with the dark, ominous vessels of the Void Imperium. The once peaceful expanse of space around Earth had become a war zone, and humanity was caught in the middle. Alexis Chen stood in the hastily assembled command center, a repurposed conference room in the United Nations building. Around her, military leaders from around the world worked alongside Concordat tacticians, their differences set aside in the face of a common threat. "We've got Imperium ships breaching the outer defense line," called out a young lieutenant, her eyes fixed on a holographic display of the battle. "They're heading for the southern hemisphere." Nick Sora's mental voice cut through the chaos, steady and determined. "Divert the Third Fleet to intercept. We cannot allow them to establish a foothold." As orders were relayed and strategies adjusted, Alexis felt a moment of surreal detachment. Just weeks ago, her biggest concern had been keeping old Betsy, her tow truck, running for another season. Now she was at the heart of humanity's first interstellar war. A thunderous boom shook the building, and Alexis rushed to the window. In the distance, she could see a Void Imperium ship, massive and menacing, descending through the clouds. Its hull was scarred from battle, but it was still operational and heading straight for the city. "We've got incoming," Alexis shouted, her mind racing. "They're going to try for a ground assault." The room erupted into frenzied activity. As military commanders barked orders and diplomats scrambled to coordinate civilian evacuations, Alexis felt a familiar tug in her mind. She turned to find Nick Sora looking at her intently. "Alexis," the alien's mental voice was urgent. "The heart of stars, it may be our only chance to turn the tide." Understanding dawned on Alexis, the powerful artifact they had repaired together, the one that could reshape reality itself. It was still aboard Nick Sora's ship, orbiting above. "But we've never tested it in battle," Alexis protested. "We don't know what it might do." Nick Sora's tendrils swirled with determination. "We have no choice. The Imperium's forces are too great. We must take the risk." Alexis nodded, her jaw set. "All right, let's do this." As they made their way to the rooftop landing pad, where a shuttle waited to take them to orbit, Alexis caught glimpses of the chaos engulfing the city. People ran through the streets, looking up at the sky in terror. Emergency services were overwhelmed, and in the distance, she could see the first signs of ground combat as Earth's military engaged with Imperium forces. The shuttle ride was tense, weaving through debris and weapons fire. When they finally boarded Nick Sora's ship, Alexis raced to the chamber housing the Heart of Stars. The device pulsed with energy, as if aware of the dire situation. "Okay," Alexis said, her hands hovering over the controls. "What exactly am I supposed to do with this thing?" Nick Sora's voice was solemn. "The Heart of Stars responds to intention and will. Focus on our desire to protect Earth, to drive back the Imperium. Let your human ingenuity guide you." Alexis took a deep breath, placing her hands on the device. She thought of Earth, of the people she'd left behind in the outback, of the diverse cultures and lives now threatened by this cosmic conflict. She thought of Nick Sora, of the bond they'd formed, of the future they could build together. The Heart of Stars began to glow, its energy pulsing in sync with Alexis's heartbeat. She felt a surge of power unlike anything she'd ever experienced, as if the very fabric of reality was bending to her will. "It's working," she gasped. "Nick Sora, what do I do now?" But before the alien could respond, a violent tremor shook the ship. Warning alarms blared, and through the viewport, Alexis could see a massive Imperium warship bearing down on them. "We've been targeted." Nyxora's mental voice was tinged with fear. "Our shields cannot withstand their weaponry." In that moment, as destruction loomed, Alexis made a choice. She poured every ounce of her being into the heart of stars, focusing on a single desperate desire to protect, to save not just Earth, but all the innocent lives caught in this war. The device flared with blinding light, and Alexis felt as if she was being torn apart and remade at the atomic level. Energy coursed through her, through Nyxora, through the ship, and out into space. A shockwave of pure creation erupted from the heart of stars, washing over friend and foe alike. Alexis watched in awe as Imperium ships seemed to unravel, their dark hulls dissolving into stardust. But the wave didn't stop there. It spread further, enveloping Earth in a shimmering barrier of energy. As the light faded and Alexis's vision cleared, she saw that the battle had come to a sudden, shocking halt. The remaining Imperium ships hung motionless in space, their weapons disabled. The Concordat fleet, too, seemed to have been affected, their systems reset to non-aggressive states. What did I do?" Alexis whispered, her legs weak as the energy drained from her body. Nyxora's mental voice was filled with wonder. "You've activated the heart's true power, a power not seen in millennia. You've created a field of peace, of harmony." As reports flooded in from Earth and the fleets, the full extent of what Alexis had done became clear. The energy wave had not only stopped the battle, but had somehow neutralized all weapons of war within its reach. Guns fell silent, missiles refused to launch, and even the most hardened soldiers found themselves unable to continue fighting. In that moment, as the dust of battle settled and the stars shone on a changed solar system, Alexis Chen, former Outback mechanic, reluctant diplomat, and now, it seemed, the key to galactic peace, realized that her adventure was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. The Void Imperium's invasion had been thwarted, but the questions and challenges that lay ahead were perhaps even more daunting. How would humanity adapt to this new reality? What would become of the stellar Concordat? And what role would Alexis herself play in shaping the future of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy? As she stood there, her hand intertwined with Nyxora's, Alexis knew one thing for certain: whatever came next, they would face it together. The stars beckoned, and the greatest adventure of all, peace, lay ahead. A new era dawns. The Great Hall of Harmony, a vast chamber at the heart of the newly constructed Terran spaceport, buzzed with anticipation. Delegates from Earth and 100 alien worlds mingled, their diverse forms a living testament to the new era of galactic cooperation. At the center of it all stood Alexis Chen, still somewhat uncomfortable in her formal attire, a far cry from her old mechanic's overalls. It had been a year since the Battle of Earth and the miraculous intervention of the Heart of Stars, a year of monumental changes, diplomatic challenges, and personal growth. Alexis gazed out at the assembled crowd, marveling at how far they'd all come. Nervous, Nyxora's gentle mental voice broke through her reverie. The Austrian stood beside her, resplendent in ceremonial robes that shimmered with living light. Alexis managed a small smile. Terrified, "I'm still not sure I'm cut out for all this pomp and circumstance." Nyxora's tendrils swirled with affection. "You've a face down invading fleets and reshaped reality itself. This is but a small challenge in comparison." Before Alexis could respond, a hush fell over the hall. The Secretary General of the United Nations, now also serving as Earth's representative to the stellar Concordat, approached the podium. "Distinguished delegates, honored guests," he began, his voice carrying across the chamber. "We gather here today to celebrate not just the survival of Earth, but the dawn of a new age of peace and cooperation across the galaxy." As the Secretary General spoke of the challenges overcome and the bright future ahead, Alexis found her mind wandering to the whirlwind of events that had led to this moment. The aftermath of the Battle of Earth had been chaotic. The energy field created by the Heart of Stars had lingered for weeks, preventing any form of armed conflict within the solar system. It had forced diplomacy where war might have prevailed, leading to tense but productive negotiations between Earth, the Concordat, and even the chastened remnants of the Void Imperium. Alexis had found herself at the center of it all, revered by some as a savior and viewed with suspicion by others who feared her newfound powers. The Heart of Stars had forged a permanent connection between her and the cosmic energies it channeled, granting her abilities that even the Astrines didn't fully understand. With Nyxora's guidance and support, Alexis had learned to control and direct these powers. Together, they had traveled to war-torn worlds, using the heart's energy to promote peace and heal the scars of conflict. It wasn't always easy. Some saw their efforts as meddling, others as a threat to traditional power structures. But slowly, world by world, they were making a difference. Earth, too, had undergone a transformation. The revelation of alien life and the planet's sudden thrust onto the galactic stage had initially caused panic and unrest. But as the benefits of Concordat membership became clear, advanced medical technology, clean energy solutions, and the promise of colonizing new worlds, humanity had risen to the challenge. The Secretary General's voice brought Alexis back to the present. And now, it is my great honor to introduce the two individuals who made all of this possible. Alexis Chen of Earth and Nyxora of Astrea, the embodiment of our new galactic partnership. As applause filled the hall, Alexis took a deep breath and stepped up to the podium, Nyxora at her side. Looking out at the sea of faces, human and alien alike, she felt a surge of emotion. "A year ago, I was just a mechanic in the Australian outback," Alexis began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I never imagined I'd be standing here, addressing representatives from across the galaxy. But if there's one thing I've learned on this incredible journey, it's that the universe is full of surprises and possibilities." She went on to speak of the challenges they faced, the friendships forged across species lines, and the work that still lay ahead. As she talked, she could feel the Heart of Stars humming within her, a constant reminder of the responsibility she now carried. "We stand at a crossroads," Alexis continued, her voice gaining strength. "The power to reshape worlds, to travel between the stars, to create or destroy on an unimaginable scale, it's all within our grasp. The question is, what will we do with it?" Nyxora stepped forward, its melodious mental voice reaching out to all assembled. The Stellar Concordat was founded on principles of mutual respect, shared knowledge, and collective progress. Earth's joining our ranks has brought new vigor, new ideas, and new hope for the future. As they spoke, alternating between Alexis's spoken words and Nyxora's telepathic communications, Alexis was struck by how natural it felt. Their partnership, both diplomatic and personal, had grown and deepened over the past year. The idea of a cosmic marriage that had once seemed so alien now felt like the most natural thing in the world. "The road ahead won't be easy," Alexis concluded. "There are still those who resist change, who cling to old hatreds and fears. But together, I believe we can build a future worthy of the stars themselves." As applause erupted once more, Alexis felt Nyxora's hand slip into hers. Through their telepathic link, she could sense the Astrine's pride, love, and shared determination. The ceremony continued, with treaties signed and commitments made. Earth was now officially a full member of the Stellar Concordat, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. Alexis and Nyxora were confirmed as special ambassadors, tasked with continuing their peacekeeping efforts across the galaxy. As the formalities wound down and the delegates began to mingle, Alexis found a quiet moment with Nyxora on a balcony overlooking the spaceport. Ships of all shapes and sizes were taking off and landing, a constant flow of interstellar traffic that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. "So," Alexis said, a hint of her old mischievous grin playing on her lips, Was this what you had in mind when you crash-landed in the outback and asked me to fix your ship?" Nyxara's mental laughter was like chimes in the wind. I must admit, even with my people's foresight, I could not have predicted this outcome. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the stars come out as the sun set. Earth's first extraterrestrial colony ship was scheduled to launch the next day, carrying hopeful settlers to a new world circling Alpha Centauri. It was a mission that would have been impossible without Concordat technology and support. "You know," Alexis said softly, "a year ago, when you first proposed this cosmic union, I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard." She turned to face Nyxara, her eyes shining with emotion. "Now, I can't imagine my life any other way." Nyxara's tendrils swirled with joy and love. "Nor can I, my dear Alexis. You have brought light to my life and hope to our galaxy." As they sealed their feelings with a kiss, a human gesture Nyxara had come to appreciate, Alexis marveled at the twists and turns of fate. From a lonely garage in the outback to the depths of space, from repairing old engines to healing wounded worlds, her life had become an adventure beyond her wildest dreams. The future stretched out before them, vast and unknown. There would be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But as long as they faced it together, human and astrine, bound by love and a shared vision of a better galaxy, Alexis knew that anything was possible. As night fell and the stars shone brightly overhead, Alexis Chen, mechanic, diplomat, peacekeeper, and cosmic bride, looked to the heavens with hope and determination. The greatest adventure of all was just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead.